You're here. Welcome. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. I'm Richard Moores, Children's Youth and Families Pastor for Southside Uniting Church. Every Tuesday we get together, talk a bit about ministry with young people, families, all that sort of stuff. So welcome. Southside. It's a church that meets in multiple locations. We might meet in 4 main centres throughout the south side of Brisbane. Land that the Yagga and the Toowoomba people were custodians for. This way we pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We pray for conciliation between us and them. We pray that we will care for the land as they have cared for the land. So welcome. Thanks for joining us. So I was trying to think what to talk about today. And I thought we'd explore being present. We've probably done it before. It's one of my little things, but maybe not. So, you guys, if we've talked about it before, turn off and go watch something else. Can't watch The Block anymore because that's finished. Rachel's very happy about that because David and I like to chat about what we think about The Block, and poor Rachel sits there. And so, got to work out what we're going to talk about over lunch now. Who knows? Yes, some thing. Who knows? Anyway, totally irrelevant. Rod, you're here. Welcome. I haven't done that for ages, have I? Okay, so we talk about Children's Youth and Families Ministry. We also have a challenge each week. I give you a movie quote and you've got to tell me what movie it comes from. Last week, we had a new winner. Peter Choi, well done. It came from The Life of Brian. He's not the Messiah, he's a naughty boy. And apparently Kylie did know and was not going to say, because she didn't want to admit or let people know that she actually knew the answer. But I've now let people know that she knew the answer, so I'll probably get into trouble. But, I think she's just dropped something in the sink, which is probably her being shocked that I've just let everyone know that she knew. Yes, anyway. So, movie quote for this week. Gonna hope that I remember it correctly. I looked at it a minute ago. Haven't seen the movie. So you go, it's a movie that I haven't seen. There's a big hint for you. Not. Okay. You're trying to seduce me, aren't you, Mrs. Robinson? What movie does that come from? You're trying to seduce me, aren't you, Mrs. Robinson? And she goes, you're trying to seduce me, aren't you, Mrs. Robinson? You'll have to tell me how the quote actually goes, how the actor says it in the moment, but there you go. Here's your quote. If you know what movie that comes from, pop it in the comment box. If you're watching this later on YouTube, pop it in the comment box. If no one else has commented, go. You could win a prize. If you get it, you could win a prize. We've got to work out where's the camera that I'm going to point. So there you go. So, being present. And as I was quickly reflecting, as I was going to get the clock from my bedroom, because I have the little clock that reminds me what time it is, so that I don't go too late and into Bible study time and stuff like that for some of you. I was reflecting that this actually links nicely into some of the stuff that we've talked about, particularly out of the Andy Root and Trip Fuller stuff about secular age, which probably reflects... Rod, well done. The Graduate. It does indeed come from The Graduate. There you go. Here's to you, Rod Herman. Jesus loves you more than you will know. Whoa. I'll stop that right there. Goodness me. I need to be more careful with what movies I pick so I don't start to sing. But there you go. Did indeed come from The Graduate. I owe you a chocolate. Rod, as I owe Pete Choi a chocolate. I forgot to take them on Saturday. I thought, I'll see you on Saturday. And I forgot all about it. It's 2 people I owe chocolates to. Being present, I thought this relates well. Because it's that movement away and that big move about what is ministry. Why do we do ministry with young people? And I think for a long time it was about, well, we're trying to teach them the faith. We want them to know the basics of the faith. And so I guess that's what Sunday school was about. That we teach you the Sunday school faith. We teach you these tenets, and then that's fine. Once you know all these things, you're good for life, sort of thing. And I'm stereotyping massively. I'm sure most Sunday school teachers were not like that. But you can get that glimpse of some people like, oh, I've got it all. I've talked before about the old lady. I'm quite happy with my Sunday school faith. Thank you very much. And so it's easy to think that's what we're doing. I know, talking with some RI teachers, SRE, whatever you want to call it, and it says, we do that so we can teach them the truths about God. And so it's easy in our thinking to go, well, we're here to present the truth. We're here to convince young people of what it is we believe. Now, if you remember back to the Charles Taylor stuff on different seculars, yes. So secular 0 for particularly Andy Root. Charles Taylor doesn't label it as 0. That sense of awe, wonder. There's demons and angels out there, and everything. Things have power and stuff like that. And then we moved into secular 1, where it started to be about the will and helping people to make a decision. And that's where that thinking of youth ministry really sits. Okay, we're doing this youth ministry, we're doing RI in the school to try and teach them the truth so that they will make a decision to follow Jesus. So if you're living in a secular 1 world, awesome. That's great. That will work wonderfully. And that's why Sunday school and stuff like that worked wonderfully in the 19th, early 20th century. Great. It's the world we're living in. That's how people's brains are functioning. We sit them down and we teach them all the truths. And we grab them in and we convince them. Awesome. Wonderful. But of course we know that we've moved from that secular 1 world. There are still elements of it, so there's still places for that sort of thing to happen. But if that's our main focus for our youth ministry, our youth ministry or our children's ministry is all about teaching people the truths of the Bible and the truths of faith, then we're probably not going to get very far. We'll just lose young people out because that's not how their brains are thinking. And indeed, they're brought up in school to be thinking and exploring and questioning. And so how do we allow them that space to do that? Sorry, I was just watching my hand move, and it's always fun when I upload this video to YouTube to work out which clip do I use, or which picture do I use? Is it because I use my hands a lot. You probably haven't noticed that, have you? Yes, you have. Anyway, I'm getting distracted, sorry. So this issue that we have, that we were in this world where it's all about convincing. And for some people, we've never moved out of that. But if that's our main focus of ministry, then we're not going to get very far. We then moved into secular 2, which was about, people are leaving the church, so how do we do something really great? And so we saw a movement in youth ministry to, well, how do we do really big and really impressive events? So you have your big EXO days and stuff like that, that we do a really big event, which then gives the space for someone to make a decision. Still holding on to that secular 1, because again, as Andy Root says, as Charles Taylor says, once we're in a secular, we don't necessarily lose all of it. When we move into the next one, bits hold on. So we're still trying to get that thought, but we do something really big scale. We do something impressive to get people in. And so you have huge youth groups and stuff like that. Was talking with one of our young people on the weekend, and they were just talking about, their friends wouldn't really connect in with our youth group. And I said, that's fine. And to a sense, maybe the day of big youth groups is gone. Like, some will still pull it off, But for churches like us, maybe our youth group will never get huge in number, but maybe we can be huge in impact as we keep going. So there was this focus, and very much some churches are really good at doing the big scale stuff, or have been. But then we move into secular 3, where it's about we live in this immanent frame and we're focused on the world and we've lost transcendence. And so the role of youth ministry is how do we allow people to find that transcendence, and we get the ability to open up that conversation, to open those opportunities for transcendence by building relationship. That as we build relationship, we start to get within the frame and we can start to influence and go, well, how about we open the spin and allow for something different, allow for something new, allow for God to step into this. And so a huge part of that is about being present. It's about that journey that we go with young people. That when we meet with them, it's not about, hey, come here, I want to meet with you and I want to tell you what the truth is. But it's about, I want to hear your story. And I want to walk alongside you. And so we might meet with a young person who's doing something that we don't necessarily agree with. But we can go, hey, I'll just walk alongside you. So you can think of all sorts of examples. So it might be, a young person with drug abuse, alcohol abuse. Could be things like eating disorders, self-harm, numerous types of things. We minister with them and we work with them not by going, hey, what you're doing is wrong. Hey, you should just eat properly. Don't avoid food, eat. Or don't cut yourself, that's wrong. If we do that, we're going to have minimal to no effect. Yeah. But what we do is go, I'm going to walk alongside you with this. I'm going to be present there in your good. And most importantly, I'm going to be present there in your bad. And so I'm there to support you. And if life is rubbish, because sometimes it is, then I'll be there. I remember, I've probably told this story before, but we're in well over 18 months. You're probably hearing the same things over and over again now. But anyhow, a number of years ago, I was at a National Youth Workers in service. We don't have any more, which was such a sad thing. But chatting with a couple of others, and we were talking about comparing Uniting Church with your big Hillsongs and stuff like that. And that sense of, well, one of them said, is a Hillsong an aberration that will just appear for a while and then disappear? What is our space there? And that challenge, that the Hillside message is really attractive. If you love God, God is going to bless you. If you do what God wants, God is going to bless you and do great things for you. I mean, who doesn't want that? Awesome, God, do great things for me. Wonderful. The challenge with that theology is that, well, if things don't go well for me, if I'm not being blessed, does that mean that God doesn't like me? Does that mean I've done something wrong? And if I haven't done something wrong, why is God grumpy at me? Why is God doing negative to me? Now, because you come from a Uniting Church place, probably. I'm making assumptions here, aren't I? Bad Richard. Possibly you're sitting there, well, that's not right. And if you're thinking that's... Again, was it last week we were talking about? Yes, last week we were talking about interpretation. So this is my interpretation. Going back to the block, this is my truth. So we can... I've got myself sidetracked now. I've forgotten what I was saying. So it's that challenge of being open and looking, being present with others, to be able to say, hey, what are you going through? What's happening mean for you? How do I walk alongside you? Oh, we're doing the Hillsong story, yes. That's right. So that Hillsong, it's really attractive, God will it. But when life goes rubbish, does God hate me? Well, no, we know that that's not the case. But how do you live in a church like that, where it's all about, well, God blesses you and God's not blessing me? So maybe that's where we step in and go, well, come on, you've got some of the basics. Let's fill you in on the other bits. That, God still loves you. And it's not about God hates you because He stopped blessing you. But life's a bit different. And so, we're talking about this, and it's that sense of being present, being able to go, this is what we have. Come along, let's walk through this. That we'll be there in the good and the bad. And that there will be good and bad. It's not come along to our youth group and everything's going to be smashing. Because if it was, everyone would come along to our youth group or our church. But we all know life is life. It has its ups and downs. And sometimes, we go through really difficult phases. If you don't know that, you weren't around last year. You were hiding in a cave somewhere. And so what our young people are needing are not people who come along and go, here is the answer of what you need to do. Here is how you need to live your life. Here's what you need to change so you're not struggling with whatever struggle you have. But what our young people need is someone to come along and go, hey, I'm here. I'm here to support you. And I don't fully understand what you're going through, because we can never fully understand what someone else is going through. But I'm here to listen. Not here to give you the answers, not here to give you the solution, but here to listen, here to walk alongside you, here to ask some questions. So that you can process and work out what it is you need to do. That's when we will have an impact. And that's really, as we've said before, I'm sure, that's a struggle. Because it's easy to do this is what you have to do. Because I can then, grade how well that works. Did they go and do the advice I told them? Yes, tick, my ministry was successful. Did they not do it? They're just a bad person. Tick, my ministry is successful. Am I being cynical again? So that's easy to quantify. It's one of the words I'm trying to think of. But if we are I'm just going to walk alongside you. How do we quantify if we're being successful? How do we work it out? And that's one of the challenges of ministry with young people. We were in our ministry team meetings. We've been reading through John's Gospel and just reflecting on how do we see that pointing to how Jesus lived and what it might look like to live and love like Jesus. If you haven't caught on, that's our church's vision statement, to more people living and loving like Jesus. So we've been looking at that. And last week we got to the section after Jesus talks with the woman at the well. He's talking with the disciples. He's saying, look, there's this harvest out there. It's plentiful. And go out and harvest. And we get caught up with that. We want to harvest. But sometimes we're the one that plants the seeds. And we never get to see the harvest. The challenge of youth ministry. That you plant and you plant and you plant. And then sometimes it's because, I have to move away. And I know when I left Belmont, there was a young guy who had connected for a while with our lunchtime program and then sort of dropped out of that and didn't really ever connect in with our youth group, maybe a little bit early on. But sort of when I was leaving, he came along and said, oh, wow, thank you for what you did. And the next year, he got involved in helping with the youth group, was confirmed and mentioned, the impact I'd had on his faith. And I was like, I didn't see you for several years. And so we don't know what's going on. And that's the challenge of this form of ministry. If we're just walking alongside people, we might not see the fruit. We might not get to reap the harvest. It might be further down the road. But if we are present with young people, or present with anyone in the church, then we will, see growth with them. Hopefully. Or there will be growth with them, whether we see it or not. Which again gets into that, or not again, I'm thinking of a video I showed at the mentoring information session a couple of weeks ago. In that sense of young people are not a project. So we shouldn't go into youth ministry saying we're doing this to make more young people Christians. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we don't want to make young people Christians. We absolutely do. We want to win people to the faith. We want them to understand how wonderful this God is that we follow. But if we come in and go, everyone who walks in the door, we are deliberately want to make them a Christian, and that is the goal of our youth ministry, then we're more likely to scare people off. Our goal is we want those young people to feel the love of God, because they are God's creation. They are God's children. And so we want to walk alongside them. We want to care for them. We want to nurture them. We want to support them. And that as we do that, they will experience that love of God. They will start to experience the transcendent and to, meet with God. So that's something we need to keep reminding ourselves about, because it's easy to fall back into what is youth ministry is about. It's about teaching the young people the faith. What is youth ministry is about? It's about walking alongside the children of God, that they might experience the love of God and who God is and how God calls into their lives, in the good and in the bad. And if we're honest, there'll be bad moments. And loving them in those bad moments, even when they are acting bad towards us, which can be terribly difficult sometimes. Yes, we sometimes joke about, we're doing this for that person, and I really don't want to do that for that person. But that's what God calls us to do. So there you go. We're going to finish early today. I'll give you an early mark, because you've been very good people. Because Rod got the right answer. There you go. Well done, Rod. I'm interested. Everyone now gets an anniversary follower. Don't know why you're all anniversary followers, but you are, Rod, so well done. Happy anniversary to you. But so be continuing to think about, as you're doing ministry with youth, children, families, as you see our church doing it, how are we being present with those young people? How are we allowing them to experience God? As we do, then we will be successful. We can say successful. And they'll experience God, and they will grow, and they will enter faith. Thank you for listening. Pop some questions that you'd like us to talk about, because I was struggling today going, what am I going to talk about? So this is what you got. But if you've got stuff you're going, I just don't understand this. Don't know why we're doing that. Don't get this thinking of young people. Pop it in. And I might go, I don't know. And we'll explore it together. So, got any questions? Pop it in the comment box. Otherwise, see you this week, next week, whenever I see you. Have a good one.